It's mailbag time here on the Chiefs Report. I am Harrison Graham here to answer all of your questions. Two ways to get on the show. Hashtag Chiefs, then ask your question, or you can super chat. If you don't do one of those two things, you ain't getting on this video. Super chat from Ryder Smith as he skipped to the front of the line. He says, I really think we should go get DeAndre Hopkins. Look, I would love DeAndre Hopkins. Is that the big Brett Veach offseason move? He's always good for one big one per offseason. I think if you let Juju walk, trade a second for D-Hop, that could be electric. I mean, that would be awesome to see. Now, what does the contract extension look like? Because chatter is if he gets traded, he wants a new deal. So that could impact things certainly as well. But, yeah, I mean, I would certainly take DeAndre Hopkins on this offense. Could you imagine Mahomes throwing to Hopkins, Kelsey, the rest of the supporting cast with Tony, Sky Moore, MVS, and then ground and pound sometimes with Pacheco? Whew. Good luck slowing this offense down. Cooper Franz, what should the Chiefs do to bolster their receiving core? I'm trying to see a scoring record for the season. Well, the last guy just mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. That could be a way of doing it. You could draft a receiver in the first round, try and move up to get a Quentin Johnston, a Jordan Addison, a Jackson Smith, and Jigba. You know what else I would really be open to? Drafting one of these draft tight ends. And I like the Chiefs tight end room. I really do. Obviously, Kelsey is special, but he's getting older. You've also got Noah Gray and Jody Fortson, two players I like. But, man, I would be really interested in Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, or one of these other draft tight ends. Now, subscribe to the channel. If you want weekly live mailbags, you got to join us on Mondays, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central Time. So subscribe. Turn on your notifications. That way you never miss a live show, as we'll be going live throughout the offseason. Who will be our backup QB2? So right now it's Shane Buechele, Tony. But I've said it and I'll say it again. I think they'll bring in competition. If you haven't subscribed for anyone out there, do so. And about 10 or so videos ago, I did a Chad Henne replacements video, potential backup QB options, including Buechele. But there's some notable free agents, some day 3 draft targets I would look at as possibilities to at least bring in competition, if not an outright backup to Patrick Mahomes. Braden Perez, do you think the Chiefs will trade for a big-name edge rusher? I don't think they'll trade for one. I just don't really see that coming. But I do think edge could be a splashy move they make. Like they may throw some money at a guy like Yannick Ngakoue, maybe a guy like they trade up in the draft. What if Miles Murphy slips a little bit into the teens and they want to go trade up for him? I could see that. So I do think edge is a position to monitor. They got to make a decision on Frank Clark as well. Robert Ross, what do you think about trading for Daron Payne to pair with Chris Jones? And the reason Robert says trade, because Daron Payne's going to be franchise tagged. So if you want to get him, you're going to have to trade for him, be a tag and trade for Washington. I will say this, on Tuesday when we're filming this mailbag, the Commanders have cleared a lot of cap space. They cut Carson Wentz. They also cut Bobby McCain. Between the two moves, they've saved about $31 million. So they can sign Payne to a long-term deal, which they might. But if they tag him and, you want to throw big money at him, that would be interesting. A Chris Jones-Daron Payne combination on the interior would be unbelievable because Payne can play that one-tech spot next to Chris Jones, and you can mix and match too, where on obvious passing downs, Jones can slide over to end, Payne can play 3-tech, then you bring in a bruiser at 1-tech. So you could certainly have some fun versatility there. I don't think the Chiefs will do that because I don't think they want to pay too high paid defensive tackles, but it's fun to think about, isn't it? Now, what do you think? Name a player the Chiefs should sign or trade for this offseason. Who would you like to see that player be for the Kansas City Chiefs? Let us know in the comments section. From J.D. Hollowell, do you believe Jarrett McKinnon will re-sign with the Chiefs? I do. I'm pretty confident they'll bring him back. A, he's cheap. They know what he can bring. And B, at this stage in his career, he's not getting big money. Why would he want to play anywhere else? Keep coming back on these 1-2 year deals until, his legs, he starts to slow down a bit. But he's a great rotation back, man. I love what he brings as a blocker, as a pass catcher. He can run the ball well. I love Jarrett McKinnon. Super chat from Lore Ortiz. Appreciate the $5. What players should we poach from rebuilding teams or having potential fire sales like Jalen Ramsey, Keenan Allen, Marcus Davenport? I think Keenan Allen's only realistic if he gets cut. I don't think the Chargers would trade him to the Chiefs, but I do think he could get cut, so keep an eye on that. Jalen Ramsey, I don't think the Chiefs will trade for him. I don't. He has a high, big number contract. I think he's owed over $17 million per year for the next 3 years. He was still good last year, but he started to slip a bit, so I don't know about that. Marcus Davenport's just a free agent, so you can just sign him if you want if the Saints don't re-sign him. So he had a bad year last year, but I would buy low on Marcus Davenport. Maybe like a 1-year, $10 million deal could be a possibility. From Dylan Anderson, if Aaron Donald wants to chase a championship, should we come in after him? Listen, Aaron Donald and Chris Jones would be unstoppable, but I think Donald would retire before getting traded. I mean, he's flirted with retirement for 2 years now. If the Rams said, "Hey, we're getting trade offers for you. Do you want us to trade you?" I think he'd be like, "If you're moving on from me, I'll just retire." So I think it's Rams or bust for him. The one team I would say maybe he'd consider playing a season or 4 to is Pittsburgh. Went to the University of Pitt and is a PA guy, so I could maybe see that, but I don't think he's playing for Kansas City. But speaking of the Super Bowl and Aaron Donald, if you're watching, hey, you want some of this gear? You got a taste of it a couple years ago, but if you want some more, you know where to go. Come to the Chiefs. And also, you can rep some Chiefs Super Bowl 57 gear at chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. Pick up your Super Bowl championship gear today. I almost threw on one of my Super Bowl t-shirts today, chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. Get loaded up with championship gear, hoodies, hats, t-shirts, long sleeves, all kinds of stuff. chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. It's chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. From Kevin Gonzalez, take a look at one of the top safeties in the draft. Do you trade up for one? Well, if you're watching live on Tuesday, we're going to take a look at some draft targets. I think I mentioned a safety or two in there, maybe. So stay tuned for that. And it's an interesting safety class. I don't know if there's like a true early round 1 guy, but Juan Thornhill's a free agent, so Chiefs got to figure out if they want to bring him back or what their safety position looks like next year. From Tim Carr, #Chiefs best, who would be the best backup QB non-draft? I mean, the best pure backup, if money wasn't a factor, probably someone like Jacoby Brissett, but he can make he'll probably make $10-12 million to be a fringe starter, high-level backup for someone. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be in the market for someone like that, but maybe a guy like Case Keenum, Chase Daniel, Baker Mayfield, maybe. I don't think the Chiefs will go that route. I think Baker would rather go somewhere where, even if he's not a starter, there's at least a chance of, the start. Well, not in Kansas. Producer Sam Mayer, he is a starter. Not in Kansas City. Sorry about you. I think he'd rather go somewhere where he either has a chance to compete, or if the starter, struggles, he could go in. Like Mahomes is never getting benched, obviously. So don't think he makes sense. Maybe a guy like I don't know, Jameis Winston if he gets cut. Teddy Bridgewater's another one. There's some guys out there. Chad Jamison, do you think Leo Chenal will become a starter? Well, in 4-3 sets, he pretty much already is, but is he going to be a top 2 linebacker and nickel? Probably not. I mean, Nick Bolton and Willie Gay is one of the best 1-2 punches at linebacker in football, so I don't think they're going to break that up, but I do think Chenal could have an increased role. Maybe Willie Gay's a trade candidate. Like, if you don't want to pay him after next year, slide Chenal in as a starter. I do think Nick Bolton's a guy you keep around. He's got 2 more years left in this deal anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. But Chenal came on late in the year. I liked what I saw from him. Will the Chiefs win Super Bowl 58? Will they go back-to-back? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Predict it for us in the comment section. Freddie Martinez, as he wants my prediction, what teams do you see playing in Super Bowl 58? I'm going to go Chiefs in the AFC because I think they can be even better next year because they actually have some flexibility this offseason. And I'm going to go, 49ers have QB questions. I think the Eagles are going to have a tough time getting that roster back together. Who are we thinking out of the NFC, Sam? It's NFC is a crap.
Do we dare say the Dallas Cowboys?
I have to see it to believe it. Golly, man, I don't know. Could the Rams get back there? I mean, seriously, It's wide open in the NFC. The NFC South stinks. Like Tampa, Carolina, New Orleans, Atlanta, none of those teams are making it. NFC North is like Minnesota. No, Packers aren't getting there.
I'll go out
Lions?
on a limb. I'll go on a limb. I'll say Chiefs, Vikings.
Chiefs, Vikings from
Vikings take a second-year jump with Kevin O'Connell.
I just don't think Kirk Cousins is getting to a Super Bowl. I mean, Cowboys are right there, honestly. They just get a little bit better. There's no reason why they can't, but we know how it goes for Dallas in the offseason. Braden Perez, what do you think of bringing back Alex Smith as QB coach? I'd do it. I mean, I mentioned him as a potential candidate when I did our Bieniemy replacements. Not as OC. Obviously, they promoted Matt Nagy, but I do think Alex Smith could be a candidate. Dark horse name, Cliff Kingsbury. Coach Mahomes at Tech. He could kind of be the Nagy of next year, right? Like, got fired as a head coach, looking to kind of reboot his career a little bit. Come to a really offensive-friendly team, a player he knows in Mahomes, and then, if Nagy leaves or something or if Andy Reid retires and Nagy becomes head coach, then Kingsbury could become OC potentially. Laura Ortiz, Carson Wentz got recently released, potentially backup. I don't want Carson Wentz. Hot take, he might be done, man. He's not a starter, and I don't know how many teams want him as a backup. So, USFL, people are talking. Tatum Floyd, speaking of Eagles, Chiefs, what do you think C.J. Gardner-Johnson is getting paid this offseason? $10+ million, I bet. I mean, he's a takeaway machine, gets a lot of turnovers. I like his game a lot. I mean, I would be interested in him, but I think he's going to go back to Philly. There's a report out there that if they don't get him to a long-term deal, they'll probably franchise tag him. So, yeah, I think he stays in Philadelphia. RJ Pence, how do you feel about a trade for Jalen Ramsey or Montez Sweat, or are you okay with this defense how it is? Also, what about a Willie Gay extension? If it's a pretty friendly deal, I would extend Willie Gay. Like if you could get him at like $7 million per year or less, I'd be interested. I would love to trade for Montez Sweat. Get after the passer. He'd be a great edge rusher here. Again, Jalen Ramsey costs too much. I'm not that interested in that trade. Ryder Smith, could we get Bobby Wagner? I think it's possible. The problem is he's pretty much strictly a middle linebacker, and that's what Nick Bolton plays. Like, I'm not moving Nick Bolton around. Like, he's the guy, if Bobby Wagner wants to chase a ring and be a cheap vet that's like your third linebacker, I'm open to that. He's still really good. I think he could have a bigger role elsewhere, to be honest. Kobe G, Day and V, do you think Higgins is the best possible receiver the Chiefs can grab, even though it's not likely? Now, DeAndre Hopkins is available. I mean, Hopkins is more likely, and look, Higgins is younger and, is still ascending, but I think there's still a very strong argument to be made that Hopkins is a better player than him. So, yeah, Hopkins is out there. So Higgins is great, but Hopkins is out there, and he'd probably be cheaper in terms of trade capital. Should we trade for Skyler Thompson for backup QB? Is this Will Scott's burner account? No. I think the Dolphins like Skyler Thompson. I think he's probably their backup quarterback behind Tua, so I don't think that's possible. But, hey, Emaw. Ravens Mansan, do you want a high-pick safety or wide receiver more? Man, probably a receiver. Like, you've got Brian Cook and Justin Reed. I think that you could get by with that pairing, maybe go draft a third safety later on or sign someone. So I'd probably go receiver, to be honest, because there's a decent chance Juju walks in free agency. Be sure you guys follow me on social media. It's at HGramNFL, both on Twitter and on Instagram. Slide in the DMs. They're always open. If you guys want to hit me up, you can over there at HGramNFL for more Chiefs and NFL conversation.